Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back here to the channel. And today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about why I think traveling, backpacking, living abroad as an expat, whatever you want to call it, why I think it's not as good as it used to be. So just to give you guys some context, I'm originally from England. I've been very lucky over the years. I've been able to spend a lot of time traveling around and backpacking. I haven't, to be fair, lived such a conventional life. I've either spent a few years back in the UK and then saving up money and then traveling again. I first went traveling myself in 2011 and I went backpacking to Australia. Now, bearing in mind, obviously, that was 15 years ago. I was a lot younger back then. Um, but I had such an amazing time, guys. I can't put into words how life changing that experience was. The amount of people I met, constantly surrounded by people, um, and just loving life. Every single day was a new adventure. People were so open and so friendly, and it really was a fantastic experience. And to be honest, it was that experience that I kind of caught the travel bug, and from there on, it never really left me. I just had a zest for traveling, and I just loved it. I fell in love with traveling. So I went back to London, went back to the UK sort of around late 2011 and stayed the next 2 or 3 years back in the UK working in London, but then caught the travel bug again and decided to go to New Zealand. So this was around sort of 2014. Now it was around this time that I noticed things started to change, particularly sort of staying in hostels and just the other backpackers and travelers that I met. And one of the things that I noticed was it was just becoming very, very much harder then to start connecting with people. People were on their phones a lot more. Smartphones had started to come out. And people, I just distinctly remember that it was just much harder to kind of form connections. Whereas 3 years earlier in Australia, you would just ask somebody for the directions or speak to them, just randomly go up to people and just spark up conversations. 3 years later, everything on your phone, you could do everything on your phone then. You didn't have to go up and approach people. The answers were on Google. And the point I'm trying to make is from 2014, 10 years ago to the current day, I'm talking to you now live from Chiang Mai in Thailand, and I was in Thailand 10 years ago, and I'm comparing now to back then, and the difference, guys, is really, really noticeable. Really, really noticeable. You know, it's the best way that I can describe it is to me, I'd really love to know what your thoughts are, if this resonates with you, but people are just so on edge now. It really just is so much harder to kind of form connections. And, this experience now in Thailand for me and traveling this time, I'm doing it as a digital nomad, right? So my priorities are different anyway from what they were 10 years ago. I'm not staying in hostels for a start. I'm living by myself in accommodations and apartments. But that said, the world is in a different place now. And in my opinion, traveling, it doesn't give you that same rich experience that it once did. It's not the same experience. It's harder to meet people. I don't think it's as good, guys. You've really got to work a lot harder now to form connections, to make friends. I mean, I'm doing a lot of the time this time is I'm doing a lot of things like co-working, meetups, um, kind of these types of events to meet people. And it's okay. It's okay. I think, you need to keep at it, and then you start seeing the same people over and over again. But it's so hard, guys. It's so much more difficult. It's so much more difficult. And I don't think it's just a reflection of traveling. I think there's a wider thing anyway, and just in terms of how societies across the world have changed in the last 10 years. You know, we're so much more closed off now. We're more like closed books now. People are just addicted now to their bloody phones and technology. You know, people don't really look up. By the way, I'm not saying I'm exempt to this at all. I spend way too much time on my phone. I'm really alarmed by my screen time on my phone, and I'd actually really love to sort that out and do some kind of digital detox. I believe that there are some kind of retreats here in Thailand that I'm looking into. So I'm not saying I'm perfect, I'm not. But, you know, it's like going back to the point I just made about people being so on edge. I really feel that. I really, really feel that. It's like I try my hardest a lot of the time to kind of spark up these conversations, to initiate chats, but it's not easy. It's not easy. I really do find it a struggle myself, and I'm someone who, you know, I'd like to think I'm pretty good most of the time in that department. I'm quite good at initiating conversations. But I've been meaning to do this video for a long time, guys, and I've been putting it off, but I finally wanted to do it, and it was kind of sparked by watching another lady on YouTube just before doing this video. Her name's Kate. She's a Scottish girl, and she's been talking about how, you know, she was talking about the problems in the UK and how, you know, how there's, you know, wider issues now of isolation and loneliness. And she did a video and it went viral, and a lot of the comments on that video were talking about things like immigration. And, you know, I could do a whole separate video on immigration across the world and in the UK, and it's you know, it would take another video to even talk about that. But, you know, I do think that, you know, that has had a big effect on things for sure. You know, there's no getting away from that. But, you know, getting back to the point of this video, I do, you know, it does kind of make me feel very disappointed, you know, because I've invested a lot into coming out. This is, by the way, I'm into month 5 of my travels. So I left the UK at the start of September. So I've been traveling now for 4 months, and I'm into month 5. I've been to Morocco, I've been to Malaysia, and now Thailand. And across the board, across those 3 countries, I would still come to the same conclusion that as a traveller, as someone who is working as a digital nomad now, it is way harder now to meet people. It's way harder to form these connections. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's not impossible. You just need to work harder at it. And it's just, you know, I just cast my mind back, guys, as I said before, that, you know, back in 2011, there wasn't one day, I don't think, in the 8 months that I spent in Australia that I was by myself. I was constantly surrounded by people, to the point that I couldn't get away from people. And the world just was far more connected then, wasn't it? Far more connected. But, you know, fast forward 15 years, and we're in a place now where everyone's on their phones 24/7, addicted to social media. The algorithm is not doing us any favors. It wants us to stay on the phone. That's how these big tech companies make the algorithms. This is kind of what Kate was talking about in her video. It resonates a lot with me as well. So let me know if you've noticed that change yourself, particularly if you've been traveling in the last 15-20 years. Have you noticed this shift in social cohesion, in the way that we communicate with each other? Maybe you've noticed this shift anyway in your home country. I'd love to know. I'd love to know what your thoughts are in the comments, your thoughts and insights. So please let me know. Yeah, you know, we can maybe kind of look to some solutions. You know, at the moment, like I say, one of the things that I'm really trying to do more of are things like meetup events, co-working, kind of like these kind of sessions that bring people together. And thank God that these things do exist, because usually I do find that the people that go along to these events are quite open, they're quite friendly, they're in the same position as you, they just want to meet new people. But particularly, as I say, you know, as a solo traveler, it's not easy. It's not easy when the world has changed as much as it has. So, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Maybe it sparked some kind of interest, and maybe, you know, maybe you've been thinking about this yourself. And let's see if we can kind of like get to the bottom of this, find some solutions. Let me know what works for you. What do you do? How do you meet new people? What do you do to initiate conversations? Is there a wider problem? This is something that I'd really like to ask you guys. Is there a wider problem in terms of communication skills in societies now? Are we losing the art of communication in terms of in-person communication? I don't think we can really, the replacement of speaking to each other online all the time on Facebook or Instagram and WhatsApp, it's not the same, is it? It's not the same. But what we're essentially doing is we're replacing it with these social media platforms, and I think it's really, really worrying, this kind of rabbit hole that we're going down. So I'll leave it there, guys, and thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.